In this video training, we're going to walk you through how to set up your first Facebook ad in your Ads Manager. Are you ready to learn? Let's go ahead and cue that intro. My name's Kelly Sturdivant. I'm a Facebook ad strategist, and I help successful business owners and entrepreneurs learn and understand how Facebook ads can help them grow and scale their business. As we get started here, I hope you have subscribed to my YouTube channel. If not, go ahead and click that subscribe button, as well as comment below. Have you run your very first Facebook ad yet? If you're watching this video, it means you're either running ads or you're about to run ads, and it's important to understand that there are some things you want to make sure are set up correctly in your business manager, in your ad account, so that when you do run ads, you are set up for the best success possible. Now, in this training, we're not going to walk you through setting up your business manager or your Facebook pixel. So if you have not yet done that, be sure to check the remaining videos in my YouTube channel for trainings on how to get those set up. So from this point out, we're going to assume that you have these things in place already. So we're going to dive into our business manager and into our ad account that we want to create ads for. Once we're in our ad account, we want to go ahead and create. When you start a new campaign, you'll have a bunch of objectives that you can choose. Now, one of the things I find a lot of business owners miss out on is they choose the wrong objective for their ads. So in this case, we're going to build an ad campaign for a lead magnet that I have created for my business. So we want to ensure that we get people not only to my website, to that lead magnet, but that we want to be able to track the cost that it is costing me to get someone into my email list. And in order to do that, we want to select the conversions campaign. Now, there are a bunch of other campaigns you can choose, including traffic, which is just driving traffic to your website, or engagement, which is just building engagement on your Facebook page, as well as things like video views and lead generation for both a lead form and messages. Most ads will end up being in a conversion option. Now, this is if you have purchases, if you're driving traffic to webinars or boot camps, or like this, we're going to build for a lead magnet in order to continue building our email list. So the first thing you want to do with any new campaign is you want to name it so that it makes sense not only to you, but to anyone who may be coming into your ad account later. So I always like to date my, my campaigns so that I know exactly when those ads went live. Then I like to give it a title so I know what the objective was for that campaign. In this case, CR, which means complete registration. If I was running a purchase, I would use PUR, and if I was doing something like lead, then I would write out lead. In this case, I know that I'm sending people to my ads bundle opt-in, so I will have that title there. Finally, we have our campaign budget optimization. This is the budget that you want for your ads. At a campaign budget, this just means that whatever we're setting for our daily or our lifetime budget, that is the amount it'll spend no matter how many ads or ad sets are in that entire campaign. It will give you that blanket for the campaign, and then it is dispersed how Facebook disperses it through the entire campaign itself. If you wanted to run multiple ad campaigns with varying budgets, then you would want to set your budget at the ad set level. There is no right or wrong, it's just a matter of personal choice and what works best for you. I've done both and find they both work equally as well. Although campaign budget optimization just makes things a little easier for running ads. The next thing we want to do is create our ad set. Now, generally speaking, you want to think of your ad sets as the audience that you're driving traffic to. So each ad set you have is essentially a different audience that you can create offers for. Now, some people will structure it where their ad set is different offers or different products or whatnot, but I like to keep things simple, especially if my objective is the specific lead magnet, then I want to make sure everything in that objective makes sense for that campaign. So I'm going to create an audience of small business owners. And then under my conversion event, again, this is how the ad is able to determine when someone has taken action, is with that event pixel that has been pixeled correctly on our pages that we want. So in this case, I know I have a complete registration attached to my thank you page for the specific lead magnet. So that is the conversion event I want to use. And then finally, we get into building our audience. Now, you can build this in the audience section of your business manager, but if you are just working on the fly and want to start, you can continue building in your actual ad. So with your audience, I always like to make sure it is people living in this location rather than living or recently in, just so it eliminates people who are traveling in and out of that country or city. It'll always default to your location, and then you can go ahead and add other countries to it. If you are more nationwide, you can specify the specific state or province you're in. And if you are local, you can actually specify the city that you would like to target. Each of these ones, it'll give you an audience definition on the side. Now, going forward, the idea is to make your audience as small and as niche down as possible so that your ads have a chance to hit the right people. So if we were to run this ad right now with just targeting anyone in the United States and Canada, you can see we're dealing with about 260 million people, and that's far too large for any business to be able to attract. So our first option is by our age range. So I know I maybe only want to target people between the ages of 30 and 55. And I know I only want to target women. And then we get into our detailed targeting. Now, these are our interest-based or demographic-based targeting, which can help us to bring down those audience size further. So even with our age and gender, you can see we've dropped from 260 million to 64 million. Again, still too large, so we're going to continue on. So with your detailed targeting, you can include people who match specific criteria that you've laid out. So in this case, let's say we want to target people who maybe like Tony Robbins, because chances are maybe they're a small business owner that might be interested in our product. And maybe we want to target someone like Russell Brunson. And maybe we are interested in a small business owner. So you can see with our small business owner, we not only have a lot of options for us, but we have a different demographics that we can choose: employers, interests, and job titles. So this really makes a difference as to how big, as you can see, how big those sizes are as to what we want to target. So in this case, maybe we want to target people who are interested in small business owners. Now you'll notice on the side, our audience definition really hasn't changed much. And that's because we're pretty broad with our small business owner. If you were a business like yoga or travel or something like that, you would be able to have a little bit more clarity and being able to niche down those audiences a little bit more. So for me, I know that I need to get a little bit more detailed in my targeting in the form of exclusions or narrowing that audience. So maybe in this case, I want to exclude anyone in these audiences who also like Gary Vaynerchuk, because there's a lot of overlap with that one. Didn't drop too much. And then maybe I want to narrow my audience with a must also match. Now this is a very powerful way to take your audiences and really dial in that size, is that the detailed targeting is they can match any or of those interests and demographics, whereas when you use the narrow audience with that must also match, it means they have to match that category as well. So for me, I know that a lot of people, I know that small business owners should be an admin on a Facebook page. So I always like to select something like Facebook page admins so that I really bring down that audience. So you can see now we're dealing with about 14 million instead of 64 million. And I could get even more specific as I want, but the key to this is we want to be able to bring that potential reach down much further. So in a range of about 1 to 5, 1 to 10 million, depending on how big our ad spend is. And finally, you have your languages. So depending on where you are in the world, you may want to only target people who speak specific languages. That just eliminates anyone who might be an outlier from interacting with your ads if you didn't want to target additional languages. Finally then is your placements. It automatically defaults to automatic placements, and I don't find any need to really go to a manual placement unless it's necessary. So this is if I really didn't want to advertise to Facebook Marketplace or the Audience Network or even to Instagram Stories, I would have the ability to go through the manual placements here. And then you can see, you can select the placements that you don't necessarily want your ads to run to. Generally speaking, I like to leave it as automatic because I trust that Facebook has my best interests at heart and they'll find the placements for me that work. And then finally, you build your ad itself. Now, I like to make sure my Instagram page is attached. You want to make sure your Instagram page is attached to your business Facebook page so that you can have access to both of them through your advertising. Now we get into the ad itself. First thing you want to do is select your media, and this is your image or your video that you're running traffic to. If you've already uploaded images into your media library, then they'll show up here. Otherwise, you can go ahead and upload directly from this point. So here, I know I want to use an image like this. And then it'll give you the ability to optimize any placements. So sometimes, depending on the size of image we've created, we can actually adjust and crop it right here and then. So in this image, it's actually telling me that it's too small to be cropped to a story placement, so it won't give me that option. And then this is what it'll look like in stories. And then in our horizontal feed, you can see how that changes. So we can go ahead and change it, and then we can actually position it so that it makes a little bit more sense for that placement. And then if I really wanted to, I could create the square for my feed and in-stream videos. So this is great for Instagram newsfeed. If I didn't want my Facebook ad to be a square and I wanted the Instagram feed to be square, then I could create that here. And then done. So then you can see it gives you all the placements and how they've adjusted for you. Next is your primary text. So this is the base and the bulk of your ad. So you can get creative with your ad copy, whether it's short form or long form. I usually find it's better to build this off of the Facebook ad account and usually in something like a Google document so that it's housed outside and that it's easy access for me to be able to drag and drop in. So I'm going to go to my document and I'm going to copy my text. And then I'm just going to drop it in. So then it saves me a lot of time from there. Plus, a lot of times too, I find that it's much easier to work from a blank Google document, to be able to write out things and to have multiple variations of copy within one document than it is to build directly into the ads manager itself. So once you have your copy in, then you can see it gives you a preview of what those ads will look like. And then you can scroll through the numerous feeds to see how it looks like with all those placements. Next thing is making sure we have our URL attached below. Make sure your URL is correct and that if you have it in your copy of your ad, it matches the same URL. And then finally, you have your headline. So this is that little bit of text here if you wanted to have something different than what you've previously set up onto your websites. So in this case, maybe you want to say something like, grab my free ads bundle now. It's important to note that you can't and shouldn't use all caps for your headline. Facebook doesn't really like that kind of text in their ads, and it can be something that can cause your ads to be rejected. And that's really it. Some people would like to add an additional description. You can see here, it will sometimes adding that description, it'll come in right below your actual headline, but that's usually if your headline is a little bit shorter. So in this case, if I were to make my headline a single line, then you can see that little bit of description comes in. So it's another way that you can use that headline for you. I don't tend to use it very often, so I like to just have a really good headline. As you can see, the headline will extend into that second line anyway. And that's your ad. That's as simple as it can be. Now there is one more ad that you can create, which I find works really well for small businesses on limited budgets. So we're going to backtrack here a little bit, and we're gonna go back to our ad set. At our ad set level, we have this button here, which is called Dynamic Creative. This is something that's been around in Facebook for a little while, but it's actually kind of gaining in popularity, especially with small advertising counts, because it's a really great way to have a lot of different ads out there without having a lot of ad spend. Doing it a traditional way where you have one ad with one ad image and one ad copy, you can see where you could, if you had multiple images or multiple text, you would have several different ads created within that ad set. But by selecting a dynamic creative, It actually allows Facebook to have one ad, one technical ad, but it'll have multiple variations of all of the creatives you've created for it, and it will spread those out as multiple ads for your advertising. So now when we go into our ad set, we'll notice that we have the ability to add multiple images and multiple forms of copy all within that one ad. So you can put up to 10 different images. So in this case, we're gonna go back to our images and we're gonna select a couple more. So then you can see they all pop in. So this is a really great way, again, if you wanted to test, an image which is a product and an image of, say, yourself. And then you can also create multiple forms of text. So we have our original text. And then let's say we wanted to take just the bottom half of this. We can add another option and test out another form of copy. So you can add, again, up to 5 variations of your copy within that ad. And then the same thing with our headline. So we can create another variation. And we can add another one. As long as they're different from each other, so you can't have the same thing twice. So you can see you have multiple ways that you can add in your ad text and your headlines. So what Facebook does with this is that it will create multiple ads using all of these variations and put those out to your audiences. Now, this again is a really great way to test out multiple forms of copy and imagery all in one ad. The downside is that it doesn't always be able to tell you which combination actually converted the best for you. So there are some downsides to it. But if you're just starting out and you just want to be able to see how your ads hit, I've been finding this is a really great way to test out those things, and the ad costs have been coming in just a little bit better sometimes than a single ad. Once everything is done, you can go ahead and select publish, and then they'll come through into your campaign. And then you'll see a lovely review button that has popped up. And it takes Facebook anywhere from a couple hours to really 24 to 48 hours for those ads to be approved. In that time, just hang tight until the approvals have been done. And once they're approved, be sure to give your ads at least 24 to 72 hours, depending on how big that budget is. In this case, if you're spending less than about $50 a day, really give it at least 72 hours to collect enough data to know whether you can go forth and make adjustments in your ads. Below this video is a resource or two to help you along your ad journey. I do hope you enjoyed this training walkthrough. Be sure to let us know in the comment section if any questions or issues you may have after watching this training. And be sure to catch the next video. We'll see you later. Let's go ahead and I update on a regular, no.